Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading in chronological order. I just want to thank the Lord for each of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating with us in the reading of the Word of the Lord together. And I pray that the overview would just give us some insight and some context to the reading that we're going to be going through today. We're going to be going through Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 13, and Luke chapter 7. And we're going to do them in tandem as they're both speaking about the same events relatively. But we see that these passages deal with the healing of the centurion's servant. Now, Matthew opens the passage with the Lord healing a man afflicted with leprosy. Now, we must remember that leprosy in those days was a fatal disease, and those that suffered from it had to be isolated. The Jewish law prohibited the leper from being integrated into society, and if one had to touch a leper, they would be considered unclean for a period. So this is no small thing that this man would come to the Lord Jesus through the crowds and worship the Lord and request his healing. He could have actually been convicted for such an act. But this is where his faith shines through, and faith like that always moves the hand of God. Stranger still was that the Lord touched him. The Lord could have spoken the word and the man would have been healed, but rather he chose to show the finished work already by touching the man and healing him. And then the Lord does not do any of the ceremonial law that is required after touching a leper. This is deeply profound and can be studied much more thoroughly. It was after this that a Roman centurion came to the Lord Jesus and requested healing for his servant. Now again, the context is of critical importance. Israel was occupied by Rome at the time of the Lord's ministry, and a Roman, because of their supremacy, would never request anything of the Israelites. The Jews were actually regarded as less than by the Romans. But this centurion, which actually means that he was a captain of 100 soldiers, which means that he is a man of authority, comes to the Lord Jesus and refers to him as Lord, and then asks him for something that is impossible to ask of any human being. But when the Lord offers to go with him, he again shows his subjection to the Lord by saying that he is not worthy that the Lord should come into his house. And then he makes one of the most profound statements ever made. He says, "But speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed." Now, being a man of authority, he knew that if he commanded people, they had to listen and obey his voice. He knew how he himself was subject to those above him and how he would react to any orders coming from above. So by saying this, he basically proclaimed the deity of Christ, in that Christ has the power to command both the natural and the spiritual, and it has to obey him no matter what. The Lord Jesus was the supreme ruler of the seen and the unseen alike. And then Luke continues to tell of how the Lord Jesus raises a widow's son from the dead. The stir that this caused was great in the land, to the point where the people began to believe that the Lord Jesus was a great prophet, and others even believed that he was the Messiah. And with this, the disciples of John the Baptist sent word to him of these things, and he, John the Baptist, sends two of his disciples to the Lord to request that the Lord reveal to them his identity and his purpose. And the Lord, while they were yet with him, healed the sick and the lame, and told them to tell John what they had seen with their own eyes. And the Lord Jesus begins to speak of the ministry of John the Baptist, which we will go through in the reading tomorrow. But the Lord shows that John was more than a prophet, as he was also the forerunner to the Messiah, and he was prophesied of by the prophet Malachi, and would turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, that is, to bring the cold, starchy leaders of Israel to the faith that is now in this young, revolutionary followers of Christ. And the Lord showed the leaders how they were so obsessed with their own agenda that they missed both the ministries of John and the Lord Jesus alike, which should have been obvious to those who knew the scriptures as well as they did. And so we read of how the Lord was invited to eat at a Pharisee's house, and while there a woman came crying and washed his feet with her tears and dried them with her hair and anointed his feet with a precious alabaster box of ointment. Now she was a sinner, and this ointment would have been extremely precious to her, yet she used it on the Lord, recognizing something special about him. But the Lord, knowing the thoughts of the Pharisee's heart, rebukes him and tells him a parable showing how she recognized her sin and came to the Lord in desperation. But he, not recognizing his own sin, did not even do unto the Lord that which was customary. And with this, the Lord forgives her sins to the bemusement of all that sat at meat with him, and allows her to leave in peace. What a beautiful passage, and I know that you are going to enjoy it greatly. Just go into this passage with deep meditation, knowing that the Lord is just speaking to you. I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. May he give you peace. God bless you as you enjoy the reading of the word today.
Chapter 8. When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying,
Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean.
And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying,
I will. Be thou clean.
And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him,
See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them.
And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying,
Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented.
And Jesus saith unto him,
I will come and heal him.
The centurion answered and said,
Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldst come under my roof. But speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say unto this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it.
When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed,
Verily, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
And Jesus said unto the centurion,
Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee.
And his servant was healed in the selfsame hour. Chapter 7. Now when he had ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant, who was dear unto him, was sick and ready to die. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he was worthy for whom he should do this. For he loveth our nation, and he hath built us a synagogue. Then Jesus went with them. And when he was now not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him,
Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I also am a man set under authority, having under me soldiers, and I say unto one, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it.
When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned him about, and said unto the people that followed him,
I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel.
And they that were sent, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick. And it came to pass the day after that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her,
Weep not.
And he came and touched the bier, and they that bare him stood still. And he said,
Young man, I say unto thee, Arise.
And he that was dead sat up, and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. And there came a fear on all, and they glorified God, saying that a great prophet is risen up among us, and that God hath visited his people. And this rumor of him went forth throughout all Judea, and throughout all the region round about. And the disciples of John showed him of all these things. And John, calling unto him 2 of his disciples, sent them to Jesus, saying, Art thou he that should come, or look we for another? When the men were come unto him, they said,
John Baptist hath sent us unto thee, saying, Art
thou he that should come? Or look we for another?
And in that same hour he cured many of their infirmities and plagues, and of evil spirits, and unto many that were blind he gave sight. Then Jesus answering said unto them,
Go your way, and tell John what things ye have seen and heard, how that the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised. To the poor the gospel is preached, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
And when the messengers of John were departed, he began to speak unto the people concerning John.
What went ye out into the wilderness for to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they which are gorgeously apparelled, and live delicately, are in kings' courts. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and much more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. For I say unto you, among those that are born of women, there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist. But he that is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he.
And all the people that heard him and the publicans justified God, being baptized with the baptism of John. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the counsel of God against themselves, being not baptized of him. And the Lord said,
Whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation? And to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace, and calling one to another, and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. For John the Baptist came, neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and ye say, He hath a devil. The Son of Man is come, eating and drinking, and ye say, Behold, a gluttonous man, and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children.
And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house, and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him, weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying,
This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner.
And Jesus answering said unto him,
Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee.
And he saith,
Master, say on.
There was a certain creditor, which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most?
Simon answered and said,
I suppose that he to whom he forgave most.
And he said unto him,
Thou hast rightly judged.
And he turned to the woman, and said unto Simon,
Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. For she loved much, but to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little.
And he said unto her,
Thy sins are forgiven.
And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves,
Who is this that forgiveth sins also?
And he said to the woman,
Thy faith hath saved thee. Go in peace.